How us as Native Americans, we've been oppressed in the mainstream society in all facets and for many years. And so now it's very apparent that, we're rising, we're rising up and we want to be heard, we want to be equal. We are becoming more and more educated. But at the same time, the epidemics of drugs and alcohol, mostly drugs, which leads to epidemics and incarceration, is becoming a larger issue as well. So in those challenges, just knowing the process, the challenges that we face in trying to be successful in personal development and personal transformation is what I'm bringing and creating to this platform here in the urban area, being one that actually made it to some level of comfort. There's a lot of development phases in that, and it is a holistic approach. And so, you really can't do it without spirituality. Prior to creating a Native center, there was no type of cultural center to come to, any type of Indian center, as we know and hear of those in other cities, even though we have the largest Native American population in an urban area. It's right here in Bismarck, Mandan, in the state of North Dakota. So, that with that, I just want to be able to build programs that are effective specifically to our social issues. And so I'm very well ingrained into the behavioral health arena. And so, I believe that we need to be sought as equals. We need to get into the arenas that mainstream society is in. And I seen that as the first issue. And so as the family housing director in 2008, I actually took it upon myself to go above and beyond just, a housing director at that job. I actually got into the community and learned of the Homeless Coalition, and because I really want to solve problems. And so that was my first step. And when I did that, I just learned, observed, even learning how to work together. That was something that I knew that I needed to learn how to do before I step up and start speaking out on things. So, I think sometimes, we jump right away, we get so excited or we want to be heard that we jump to saying what we want to say. And, I've never taken that approach. I've always observed, I listen, I learn. And one of the things that I knew I had to do first and foremost was to learn how to work together. I didn't know what that looked like. And so community organizations coming together, there's over 40 of them, and all serving those that are homeless or in some type of economic transition. Of course, a lot of that population is usually in addiction, could be transitioning out of prison or jails. There's just a lot of complexities in the people that we're serving. There's never enough resources. So I believe in working together. And so, over the years now, that was back in 2008. And during that time, I just, like I said, I was pretty quiet. I don't know that anybody probably really noticed me while I was there. There was a lot of people there, but and I was involved probably about a year prior to leaving. I ventured off and I actually received my MBA and moved on to a higher paying job elsewhere, but the passion never left, the vision never left. I was still, from a distance, I was still involved in some of these coalitions and on email listservs and things like that, and participate as I could. But I was always watching and I was always aware of what was going on and how if they were making progress, and is there any Native American advocates that are sitting around the tables? And because I know in 2008 to 2010 there wasn't any, and that was appalling to me. I just I really believe that we need to get more involved into, like I mentioned earlier, the mainstream society, because that's the day-to-day issues. That's where we need to be. And we're overrepresented in all of those arenas that I had mentioned. And so we are involved in a lot of different arenas, and now we are getting involved into the public school systems, working with juveniles, but we're not the experts. And so we're more of a platform for others to work with, non-Native organizations who have focal areas to have access to a Native American environment. I believe it's the environment that is what's going to be helpful for Native Americans to feel like they can have a sense of self, a sense of self-actualization, a sense of building and rebuilding their lives with people that are like themselves, with all the resources available to them. And so the idea is to create an Indian center that is fairly large. We want to build new construction, and with a housing background, housing development background, I've been to many trainings. I've been in, like I mentioned, housing is my background. I know how to get that done. And so it being well ingrained into the community, getting their support, those were all vital things that you build upon. You build those things, you build trust in the community. And I think that that's such a significant and maybe even sometimes a lacking area upon our Native peoples, that we have not been doing that very well over the past years prior to the DAPL. And so I think timing is everything. I think that God is in timing, and it just feels that the time is now. And we just see a lot of opportunity. Doors are just opening. It's really hard to keep up with, actually, but it's a positive problem to have. And so we're not the ones having to bang on doors to be heard and listened to anymore. Those were the generation before us that did that for us, and all the way up leading to the DAPL. And so although that issue some might look at as a very negative, maybe even disturbing issue, it's really brought a lot of opportunities.